Let's talk about, you've actually wrote a book about this, correct?
That's right. Yeah, the name of the book is called "It's a Wonderful Time." And what didn't start off as a book, it originally started off as a movie script that I had, the original idea that I had, but I co-wrote the script with my friend George back in 2005. And that's kind of the origins of it. And, I got a pretty big movie producer to come on board to help me produce it. And we took it around to some places in Hollywood and always got really good feedback, but basically got passes on it. Always saying good story, unique story, great script, but it's not what we're looking for at the time. And that was in like 2000, maybe 7 or 8. And then about 2 years ago, I decided, I might never get this movie made because it was maybe a $20 million movie, but I thought I could always make it into a novel and make it a little longer. And so that's what I did. And it came out, I worked on it this year with my co-writer. His name is Reinhard Danke, and we finished it in June, and it came out in October on Amazon. So that's kind of the history in a short nutshell.
I love that. Well, let's go back. Okay, so the classics, it's from 1946. So this is the Diamond anniversary. Is that correct?
That's right. 75 years since it first came out, which was back in December of 1946. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, diamonds are a girl's best friend, so how apropos, right?
Yeah.
So that when you're talking about diamonds and we're talking 3 days till Christmas, I'm sorry, but no, let's talk about this because am I correct? And we want to know all the details. We love the behind the scenes. Brad and I do. We want the whole dirt on everything. But when it first came out, it really was not well received. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. When the movie came out, let's see, it came out, as I said, December 20th. 1946 in New York at the Globe Theater. And unfortunately, when it came out, there was a major snowstorm on the East Coast. And so the snowstorm and very cold. And so a lot of people didn't go out to the movies that weekend. And unfortunately, the snowstorm lasted for the rest of the month. So the last 10 days or so of December, a lot of people just stayed home. So it didn't make a lot of money at the box office, which was kind of a bummer for it. It's very important, for a movie to be successful with that first weekend for sure. But the reviews for the movie overall, it got mixed reviews, but overall it got more good reviews than bad reviews. But what happened is after the first of the year, movies back then, they didn't have, TV was kind of new and they just didn't have all the platforms that we have now. So after maybe a month, 6 weeks, they just take it and it goes back on the shelf at the movie studios. And that's what happened. It kind of got shelved and everybody kind of forgot about it.
Well, but like having it, you said it came out on the 20th. That really, to be honest, that was perfect timing. it would have been if that snowstorm wouldn't have gotten away, because that would have been, how apropos right before Christmas. And of course, I'm sure, people are always trying to find entertainment around the holidays. So that would have been perfect timing and just that snowstorm. But what possibly, and just kind of let us in, what would have been any of the negatives on it?
Well, what really happened, it was actually supposed to come out at the end of January in 1947, and RKO was the studio that put it out, and they had the movie that was coming out in December for them was a family movie called Sinbad the Sailor with Douglas Fairbanks Jr., and there was an issue with getting enough prints done because there was like a strike with Technicolor at the time, so they decided to move It's Wonderful Life up a month so it would play during the Christmas time, since the movie did take place during Christmas, and so they needed to fill that spot because Sinbad the Sailor couldn't play, and then also they thought, let's put it in December because then it can get in the category for the Academy Awards for 46 for that year. So those are the two reasons that they put it there, is to fill that slot, and also they thought they could be part of the Oscar nominations for 1946.
But okay. So but you said there were some things that maybe some people were not you said the reviews were most of them were good, but there were some not so good. What possibly would be not so good? What would somebody have said?
Oh well, yeah, there you go. The reason for that is from my research is this was 1 year after the war. World War II just got done, and It's Wonderful Life. I see it overall as a happy movie because the ending is so great. And it deals with how much a person how much one person's life can affect other people's lives. And so, but it is kind of a dark film if you really look at it, because, it's dealing with Jimmy Stewart's character, George Bailey's going to commit suicide because his Uncle Billy lost that $8,000, and he's, deals with despair and disappointment, just a lot of things. And so it is kind of a dark movie. And I think so when people were coming back from the war, I think they were looking for more up, feeling more feel good kind of stuff. And it wasn't, they weren't getting it with that. So I think that's the reason it didn't do as well. People weren't expecting it to be so dark.
Every time I watch it, I just hope that something changes, that he doesn't hand that newspaper to Uncle Billy with the money in it.
Oh.
$1,000.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you just so bad. Yeah, you so bad want that. You so bad want that to be a different outtake on that. But it's interesting because I wonder, like, go back to 1946, when they saw it, and of course, till today, it's such a different. And I wonder if, like you said, it might have been a little too personal, if you will, and maybe a little too close to home back in 1946 than what we today. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think the audience just maybe they weren't ready for that at that point in time. Now, as you know, we'll probably talk about it, but things did change, and it did find an audience, and has become one of the most favorite movies of all time. So it's very interesting how things worked out. But at the time, Frank Capra, the director, was kind of disappointed because this is his first movie after coming back from the war, and he really put a lot into it. And it is a beautifully shot movie. It looks great, but it just wasn't what he was hoping for, from a financial standpoint.
So
it actually lost about $500,000. Liberty Films, which is his company, they lost money on it. Yeah.
So with I do have a question about, you said it opened in New York City. So was it at the time? I mean, now movies open in major cities all across the country. So So was it only opened in New York, or was it in Hollywood too? Or at that time, was that just something that they did? Like New York City was the place where they premiered the big movie.
Yeah, but they had the premiere. The big premiere was at the Globe in New York, but it did come out, I think, in about 50 other theaters, across the nation. But 50's really, not that big today when you think about, Spider-Man comes out in 3,000 theaters. So it was a very limited theater run at the start. And then in January of 47 is when it opened up and started playing in more theaters. Yeah, but the first month was a little kind of a slow release.
And did later on, I mean, I'm just trying to, I know a little bit, I love movies. Lucy and Desi, did they buy that later on, that studio? Is that right? Or
yeah, they did buy that. They bought RKO.
RKO, yeah.
Used to be on at this time. Let's see, right now at Paramount Theaters. If you've ever seen Paramount on the corner, there's a big globe on the corner of the top of the roof, and it's still there today. And that was the globe for RKO. And so Desi and them, Lucy and Desi bought it in the 50s. They bought the studio. It's been through many hands through the years, and now it's kind of dormant. But yeah, it has an interesting history. Not Frank Capra. I'm sorry. Howard Hughes, owned it for a while also.
Awesome.
So.
Well, Doug, I want to put a bookmark because I want to backtrack. I should have. I'm sorry. I've got a bunch of. We've got more questions to ask. But what is your? We've not actually heard a little bit about you, and what is your history? And then is this your favorite Christmas movie, or what I guess enticed you to dive in on this?
Yeah, my history in a nutshell is I'm originally from Montana, and I went out to Hollywood to go to a music school in 1984. It was only a one-year school. Ended up getting a job as a ballet parker at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which led me to getting an internship in the music industry, in music publishing, and I've been in the music publishing industry for about 30 years. But about 2005, I decided I wanted to start producing movies. So that's kind of how I got into writing the script, which led to the movie. And but to answer your question, it's one of the homage to that movie because I think it's such a special movie, and that was kind of the genesis of it and why I picked that movie. I picked 1946 for the time travel thing, just because that's when the movie was made in the summer, and also it was 1 year after World War II. So I thought that'd be an interesting time when all of our guys are coming back from the service. But yeah, that's the reason. Just wanted to pick that movie and see what it would like to be back during the making of it, and that was the idea. So
that's pretty awesome. No,
ask me
yeah.
When people ask me how to describe the book, the movie, or the book, the script at the time or the book now, I always say Back to the Future meets Midnight in Paris on the set of It's a Wonderful Life. Usually say, "Oh, I got it. That's a good description." So that's kind of what it's about. Yeah.
So we talked about how it didn't have a great opening, and it originally was going to open later, and they wanted to get it in time for it. Actually received a lot of nominations as far as 4 awards, even though it wasn't well received, and
it did. It actually was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, 1 including Best Picture, and it didn't win any of them. Actually, Frank Capra did win the Golden Globe for director, which was great. So he did win a pretty big award, but nothing in America. And the interesting thing is, his business partner right after the war, he started Liberty Films, and Willie Wyler, who was a director, was one of his partners in the company, as was George Stevens, who was also another big movie producer. These guys had done movies in the throughout the 30s, and then during the war effort, they went over and and used their skills and talents for the war effort. There's a great movie called Five Came Back, which is on Netflix, and Steven Spielberg was the executive producer, and it deals with Frank Capra and Willie Wyler, George Stevens, and John Huston about what they did during the war, making films and filming the war. And so the reason I bring that up is that Willie Wyler's film, The Best Years of Our Lives, came out a week before It's a Wonderful Life did in December, and that's the movie that ended up getting the Oscar for Best Picture. So his business partner's film actually won the Oscar that year. I thought that's kind of interesting.
Well, yeah. Now, going back on the filming and talking about Jimmy Stewart, I'd heard, is it true that was he not feeling well? Did he have some sickness during this movie?
Well, yeah, he from coming back from the war, Jimmy was a bomber pilot. He was a bomber pilot for the B-24 bombers, and he flew, I believe, 20 combat missions. And so, I couldn't imagine flying those missions and getting shot at. He saw a lot of us, he was actually the commander of a whole, I think, the 445th Bomb Group. So he was, very close to a lot of these guys, and we've seen a lot of these. I think on one mission, he lost 13 planes. I think there's 10 guys in a crew, so major loss of life and people that he knew. And a lot of these guys were younger than him, because he was a little older. So, he came back with PTSD, which we would call it now. I don't think they were calling it that then. But yeah, he had some, he was dealing with that because, this was his first movie right after the war. So if you see, notice some of those dark scenes in the film, where Jimmy's getting angry and stuff, that's kind of, I think, him pulling up some of those emotions that he was having to deal with from the war. So it's pretty interesting. But he wasn't, as far as I know, had a cold or anything. It was a little deeper than that,
Oh, wow. Well, I had seen an interview with Donna Reed later, probably in the late 80s, I guess. She had an amazing career, and she was always, positive and upbeat and everything. And I think that in this interview, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but she basically said that she took the stance that it was her job to kind of keep a positive attitude during the filming and try to keep it upbeat, because even though they knew what the ending was, but filming some of those dark scenes and things like that, could be challenging, and she always wanted it to be people look forward to going to work, because she had a feeling that this movie, regardless of how it did, was important story to tell.
For my research, she was like a dream to work with, Donna Reed. Everybody loved her on the set, and they all had great things to say about her. And she said, yeah, working with Jimmy was awesome. And she was quite younger than him. She was an Iowa farm girl who, my understanding, wasn't even trying to be an actress, but she came out to Hollywood staying with an aunt, and she got like a screen test, and she ended up becoming a pretty big movie star. But yeah, she was a dream to work with, and she loved working on that movie. And I don't think when I was doing my research, like the director of photography, I read the interview, and they were saying, it was from Leonard Maltin, saying, when you were working on this movie, did you think it was anything special? And he said, no. He said it was just like another movie that I'd done. He said none of us knew that it was going to be what it ended up being. It seemed like it was just another movie. It was not a bad movie, but a good movie. But they didn't realize that it would become such a classic in American cinema, or maybe in the world, but definitely in American cinema. You know, it's actually the American Film Institute has rated it the #1 inspirational film of all time. And then also it's number 11 on the best films of all time. So not bad for a little movie that didn't do too good in the box office when it first came out.
Right.
And approximately how much do you think, or do you know how much it cost to make it? Do you know?
Yeah, I think the budget when it first came out, it was supposed to be like around $2.5 million, which is not a lot of money now for movies, but back then that was a lot of money. And then they went over budget. I think it was like $3 or $3.2 million. So they made most of it back, but yeah, they ended up being about $500,000 short of breaking even.
And they had some difficulty. And how did they make? The way my understanding was they had to make snow when it was actually summer. And I'm thinking that degree of difficulty today would be kind of hard. Was that something? Is that true?
Yeah, when they filmed excuse me, when they filmed those winter scenes, it was filmed out here in Los Angeles. They filmed the outside stuff at Encino Ranch out in Encino. It was called the Encino Arqueo Ranch, and they were filming it during a heat wave. So it was in the 90s. And if you notice, next time you watch the movie, if you watch Jimmy Stewart in the bar when he's praying, and also when he's at the bridge, you can see sweat on his brow, and it's because it was so hot out. But there's snow falling, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, it was. Back in the days, they were using cornflakes for snow. They'd paint them white and they'd let them fall, and they'd look like snowflakes. But they would, they would crunch when they would walk on them when they do close-ups. So they trying to figure something else out. So a guy named Russell Sherman, who was on the RKO staff for special effects, came up with an idea and used it was called foamite. It's the chemical that they use in fire extinguishers, and they mix it with soap and water and pipe it through these pipes at a high pressure, and it would then blow it into these big fans, and then the big fans would shoot it out over the set, and it would come out as fluffy snow, and that's how they did it. So that's why that looks so real. It was a new concept they came up with, and they continued to use it in movies after that. But that all happened because of It's Wonderful Life.
Wow,
well,
that's great.
Obviously, today cornflakes are a lot more expensive. So.
Right now,
a box of cornflakes are a lot more pricier than what probably they were back then. But I love to hear the creativeness, and now I have to watch it. It's my tradition, and I'll watch it throughout the year, even just because it's anytime I love it. But I'm going to go back and watch that, and so I just assumed he was sweating because of all that was going on, but it makes sense now that he was under a heat wave. But it
makes sense in the bar with him sweating because with things going on.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. But outside on the bridge. That was interesting. Yeah.
But it's also, if it would have flipped. I mean, if it would have opened in LA, it would have been warm and beautiful for that to open, and they wouldn't have that snowstorm. And if it would have filmed in New York, then they would have had their natural snowstorm, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it sounds like it had my luck. But I love those obstacles, and because of those obstacles, you have to give it a lot more respect. And of course, I love the Hollywood, and we love going and seeing a movie or sitting down to a movie, and that's my family. We're movie buffs, and and when you do that, you don't. I mean, and you don't realize all the behind the scenes that go on, and it's so fun to hear those fun facts and to realize. And of course, now it's a tradition and something we love, but back then you realize that 1946, that was a little too personal possibly for some, and maybe they were a little too, like you said, not as upbeat maybe as some people wanted, I guess. Makes sense.
Yeah. It's movie magic is pretty neat what they can do.
Yeah, and I think this has been. I'm so appreciative of having the opportunity to listen to this and you be on with us today, because we were talking last week. It's a Wonderful Life has always been my favorite Christmas movie since I can remember, because it's a family tradition. It was. We always made sure that we went to my grandparents. The whole family went and watched on TV, and then we continued that tradition, in my family, and I still continue that tradition. And so it's just amazing.
Yeah, I was watching just a few days ago. There was a guy, because it's Christmas time, so there's a lot of stuff about the movie coming up on YouTube and stuff. And there was a guy watching it for the first time, and he was videotaping his reaction. And it was so neat. He'd never seen it, and he was just saying like, "Oh man, this is so amazing! Why didn't I know about this movie before?" And it was just kind of neat to see a new person realizing what a gem it is, Yeah.
And it's timeless. You think about it, doesn't matter, the age or whatever. It's just a great thing that no matter how dark everything can get, and it can be, but things can turn around. It can be uplifting, and especially with everything we've been through the last couple of years, life gets tough, and it may not be a roller coaster. It may be all kind of dark and troublesome, and then rebound. And so I think that's another thing that makes it just so amazing. It just you cannot, in my opinion, this is my opinion, you cannot watch that movie and all the way through, and then when the credits start rolling through, that you can't smile and just be like, wow,
I hadn't watched it for about maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years, because I've seen it so many times, but I thought I better watch it one more this year, just because the book came out and stuff, and I watched it maybe about a week ago, and sure enough, it still held up. It was just so good, and I was getting choked up at different times, and at the end just so happy, and it's just such a great movie. Wow.
Well, and everybody wants their own personal Clarence,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't help but fall in love with Clarence.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants a Clarence,
Mine would have my Clarence would have to be
incompetent angel trying to earn his wings.
Yes, exactly. And then I do, and at the very end, about when the bell rings, an angel gets his wings. You will see me with tears. I cry every time. It brings tears to my eyes because it's just so precious. And you go back and when you watch that, and it was done in black and white, which is really a treat to me, I think.
Oh yeah. And they had a colorized version, I think, in the 80s, which there was a lot of hoopla about it because people, it was kind of like that Easter egg look, and I don't have a problem with that if they want to do that with films, but I think with It's Wonderful Life, I think it's much better in black and white because of the dire things that he's going through. It just works better for the film.
Right. And you go back and I guess I've been thinking a lot, like Zuzu Petals, when she went or didn't close her coat up, and you go back years ago. I mean, now, like we I don't want to say that well, back then they didn't have all the medicines and everything that we have now, and I guess you think about how that was so terrible that she got sent home without her coat, because of she didn't want to mess her flower up. I mean, this is just, and I was thinking about that the other day, and then she wants to put her flower for water for a drink. How innocent. I mean, what innocence there, and I want to see my flower, I just think that's, to me, just the simplicity, the innocence is just, they just captured that so well.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, they definitely did. It was definitely a different time back then. Yeah.
So I just love love it. And of course, and I think every school teacher, after what we've been through these last couple of years, listening to a daddy tearing to a school teacher.
Yes, I know.
That's kind of, and we've learned how important and how to respect and how much we love. And of course, we've always loved our school teachers, but it's just, it is something, and I'm sure that a lot of them get a little chuckle out of it, when they watch it. But also, your company too, Doug, actually owns a lot of the rights. Am I correct, to some of the music in movies? Is that correct?
Yeah, as a music publisher, which I've done, as I said, for about 30 years, I've worked with a lot of songwriters and producers and composers, and I have a catalog of songs. And I would, the movie studios and TV studios, they need to license music for their projects. It's called source music, coming out of a radio or this or that, or a live band playing music. So yeah, I have various types of genres of music that I license. That's kind of been my bread and butter for a long time, and I still do it. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I still do some of it. But yeah, that's kind of been my thing, and it's always been music, but film and TV music. So that's kind of when I ended up becoming a producer, it was kind of an easy transition because I've always been in the film and TV world, but always from a music standpoint.
Well, I saw something, and I don't know what it was even, because I love to watch, again, behind the scenes, but it showed like movies without music, like it did like Jaws with they took they showed that without the music, and it showed how important music is in the movie. And a lot of times, and just like the Spider-Man, if you go back now, the new Spider-Man, you go listen to the soundtrack, and sometimes you're not even catching that music, but you listen to it, and you're like, oh my gosh, and it makes the scenes that much more intense and that much more, bold, right?
Oh yeah, I've done music supervision also on about 20 movies, and I've had to sit through, sessions where there is no music, and we're picking it, talking with the composer, and the movies are pretty boring without all those, once you start putting the elements to it, the music, the sound design, the Foley, all that stuff really makes a difference. Yeah, otherwise it'd be really, really boring.
Okay, so how do you when you, let's say you have a scene, you have a movie going, and you show the scene, and then is it hard to put that music to it, or is it like instant, it as soon as you hear it, Doug, or is it something like, do you get talk about it, or because that's really interesting too.
Well, usually what happens when they start shooting the film and they start editing it together, sometimes they may even have a composer on yet, but there's a guy called the music editor, and the music editor will put in, it's called temp music or temp score, and they can find temp score from other movies, music that they will think will fit in this part, knowing that they're going to have to replace it later. And that's what happens when the director sees it with the temp score, so it sounds a little better. And then once they have hire the composer, they'll say, we want something like this here. I mean, they have to, write something from scratch, but at least it gives them kind of some direction. And that's what they do with score music, which, doesn't have any lyrics. It's just orchestral score. And they do that also with songs. Sometimes they'll pick famous songs and they put it there in a certain spot, and then they find out it's going to cost them way too much money, so they have to get something else. But yeah, it's called the temp track, and that's how that usually happens, is they find temporary music, but they eventually replace it. Sometimes they use some of the stuff, it stays in there, but most of the time it all gets replaced. But that's how they do it.
So does that help the director kind of work with the composer to, this is what I'm thinking, and then that starts the process?
It helps them a lot to at least watch the film and see it come together with some music, even though the music hasn't been written yet. And then the director says, oh yeah, I like that, what you picked there. We'll have this composer kind of do something like that, because that really works. Or he might say, oh no, that stuff you picked there, I don't like that at all. We're going to have to find something better than that. Yeah, they kind of figure it out as they go along.
That is so interesting.
And then once the composer comes on board, they come up with the theme, and then these guys that are doing this for a long time, they're really good. Alan Silvestri and all these people, they're the top-notch guys.
Wow.
They make it what we see today when we see them, go to the movie theaters. Yeah.
Well, the behind the scenes, and I mean, it's a whole different world than what we're used to, and it's amazing what goes into it behind the scenes, and was it fascinating to you, or was it just, I mean, because you really for years you've learned all this. I mean, this is a lot of great information and learning that you've gone through. You have
a lot of the things that I've learned through the years, excuse me, being in the business, as well as Reinhard, my co-author, we both have probably together about 50, 60 years of combined knowledge, and so we utilized a lot of that in the book of what would happen, what it would have been like working on It's a Wonderful Life, and how Capra would have worked, and Jimmy Stewart doing his scenes, and kind of the whole the process. Yeah, we really put that in there. We've had people say how much they learned and enjoyed it, that when they read the book, that it felt like they were really in Hollywood, and that was the whole idea. We wanted to, really show that. So
I love that. Love
yeah.
Doug, so let's talk about the book. How can we get the book, and tell us where the book's at and information on it?
Sure. The website is Hollywood. The website address is HollywoodTimeTravel.com, and on the website is all the basic stuff, the synopsis of the series, and book one, which is called It's Wonderful Time. There's a book trailer on there, information about Reinhard and I, our author bios, and all that kind of stuff. And on there's also a little place, a little where you says click to buy the book, and you click and it'll take you to Amazon, which is our Amazon page, and it's available as a ebook, which is reading it on Kindle or the PDF on your computer, however you like to read it, and then also a softcover book. So that's the main place that people can buy it right now on Amazon, but it's also up on what's it called, Barnes & Noble. I think it just became available on Barnes & Noble a few days ago. So those are the main places, but Amazon for sure, because it's been up on Amazon since October. And HollywoodTimeTravel.com, and It's a Wonderful Time is the name of the book, and it's an homage to the movie It's a Wonderful Life, just a different title, but a close title to the movie.
Love it.
And it's time travel. So it's that's why It's a Wonderful Time. It was a wonderful time, but it's also a time travel. So historical fiction time travel movie is the genre that the book is.
Definitely. Well, Doug, if you are on a movie set and you need some extras, I just want to say, Brad and Becky,
right.
we will be available, and we have. Let me tell you what our superpowers are: looking like we're doing something, and we're really not doing anything. Okay, so we might be a great extra in the back. Okay.
Exactly. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
And thank you guys for having me on your show. I really appreciate it that you reached out to me, and this was really fun.
Love that. Well, we'd love to have you back sometime. Keep up the great work. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep us in the know, and have a Merry Christmas, Doug.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
All right, Brad. We might get a deal.
Hey, we need a contract.
Yeah.
I'll prop up in the doorway just to.
Well, they were, we went up there
I
and.
can do it.
I know. No, we could do something in the back. Just sit there, and drink coffee or talking,
Yes.
But when they were filming Hoosiers, okay, they were talking about up there that they told them to, in the back to be talking. So they were trying to, of course, there are people that know what you're saying, so you got to, so he started telling a frog joke, and he said, I don't even remember it. He goes, but it was something about a frog. He goes, and if you listen, you'll hear something about a little bit of a frog part, and it's because he told a frog joke. So
that's pretty good.
I know. So
good.
I thought that was kind of cute. Yeah. So those are little fun facts, and I'm going to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
And see that sweating
Yeah.
during the heat storm. That would be our luck.
That would be.
Completely.
Yeah.
But I love that. That's awesome. Very good. And it happens to be one of my favorite and one of your favorite.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so cool.
Absolutely. So, and it's that type of stuff. And I'm like you in that I like that behind the scenes stuff. I want to know what's going on, what happened. And it just is so but it's interesting to me that this movie, it's 75 years old, but it still can give life lessons now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really, it's just,
Right.
and good, bad, or in between, there's something about going to a movie theater and just being transported somewhere else for just a while.
Yeah.
You know, just a while.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
so yeah, but that's one of my favorite movies. So this was a definitely early Christmas present for me. So this is cool.
I think so too, and it'll be something too that'll be fun to talk about, like with your family when you're meeting with your family, or you talk about this interview and talking with them. But I think I'm not ready. Okay, I'm not talking about like buying gifts. I'm not talking about like going to Walmart to shop, groceries. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I'm not ready for Christmas. I want more Christmas.
Yes.
I want more time watching lights, seeing lights. I want more time hearing music. I want more time Christmas time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not.
The Christmas feeling.
Exactly.
The Christmas feelings, the Christmas spirit, that type thing. And I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast. It's not important what the podcast was. It was just a podcast that for entertainment sake. And there was a guest on there that said, they were talking about Christmas just seems to be gone in a blink of an eye because we're busy doing this, and this. And this person on there said, this year we did no gifts. We just did Christmas as getting together, meals, spending time with each other, but Christmas lights, Christmas music. And they said, what's wrong with, if you want that to last, you're the one who can make it last.
Oh.
You want to leave your Christmas music playing through February, do it. If it makes you feel good, if you want to have your Christmas tree up and it makes that, and that helps you keep that Christmas spirit alive for a little bit longer, then just do it, because there's only one person who can decide if you move on that quickly. It's you. And I think that's kind of simple, but at the same time, we think we have to move on, but we really don't.
I love that.
Play that Christmas music.
Do you think we could ask all of our county?
I'm in.
Could we get a extended Christmas? I mean, could everybody please? This is our plea.
Yes.
Would everyone please keep their Christmas lights on?
Yes.
Can we?
Yes.
I wonder,
if you want to take your tree down, take your tree down. That's fine.
Well, if it's real, especially, you better. It's dangerous. We don't want the fire.
The live trees.
But I'm thinking that the only county in the whole state that observes Christmas for another month.
Yes, nothing wrong.
Could that be possible?
Yeah, that's
would that be doable? Would that be doable?
Absolutely. With everything going on in the world, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, I'm in.
Could we ask?
So,
please keep and it's true. I know I'm just not ready, because it is something, and I don't know if it's I'm enjoying this time so much. And we're on to the 22nd day. We've got 3 days. And then after Christmas, and I think a lot of people feel this too. I'm not the only one. That it's kind of like, okay, you have this big, it's like a production.
Yeah.
Like when you do a production, you do an event, and then you're
it's a letdown.
And then you feel like that afterwards.
Almost a letdown. I don't mean that in a negative way, but that's how it feels.
Everybody says that.
It's like the wind come out of the sails.
Yeah, they took the wind beneath your. Yeah. What is that? Wind beneath your knees?
Our wings. It's not beneath our wings anymore. Yeah. The wind came out of our sails.
It was out of our knees.
Yeah, out of our knees. Yeah.
Say that at the dinner.
They decapped us.
Say that at Christmas.
They decapped you on the way out the door.
Just please say that at Christmas. Just quote that. Don't tell them I said it. Just say it took the wind out of beneath my knees. And see what's your family.
Beneath my wings.
I know, but just what's your family? They're gonna be like,
cheer.
Keep it in the eggnog. Get the full bread from the eggnog. But no, I know that sounds silly, but I'm like to say I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about physically ready.
Yeah.
I'm not mentally. I still want more.
Yeah. Well, you know how I have those outside lights, the string lights that have the Edison bulbs, that are the white lights and everything. Well, I love those things,
yes,
right?
And you do a
so I decided I was going to leave them up. And the funny thing about those, and I didn't realize it. Well, I did after the fact, but they have an option to where they'll they can be blue, they can be green, they can be red, they can be white, right?
Right.
Or they can cycle through all the colors, right? So I decided, and you know how teenagers are brutally honest about things, right?
Completely.
So I decided that every other strand I have red and green, and they're around the pergola out back and around the side and everything. So when you pull up, they're red and green, but they're not Christmas lights. They're those lights,
Yeah.
and so they're pretty good. So, but so
Oh, here it comes.
so I've been enjoying those, and I've
Yeah.
been keeping those on just because.
And you should. It's,
You know,
they're
it's
beautiful.
just it's like fun, right? So, the other day I had a teenager very near and dear to my heart, and you know how brutally honest they are. Like I had came home and I got out of the truck and I was walking, met me at the sidewalk and said, just so you know, everybody at
Yeah, we're
school
so
thinks
sad
the
that-
red and green outdoor lights are a little random. And I was like, Christmas is not random. So I said,
who
but
is everyone to be saying
well,
this?
I said, so at least I know that that was the discussion and gave you guys something to talk about because I did my job.
I'm so glad.
So you drive by, hey, some random Christmas lights. So there you go.
Well, it's like an Easter
that's
egg.
fun,
It's like
right,
that. It's that purple cow we talked
Right,
about, the little
right.
Easter egg. You know, what I mean, that you find
not
every so often.
expecting to drive by, to roll
absolutely.
by
I
his
think it's
house
gorgeous.
and see red and green.
Oh.
And it was ready.
I-
And I think the red light bulbs in the outdoor lights helped.
Oh, I
Put it
think-
over the top.
Well, you know what? Some might call it over the top. We might say just perfect.
But it makes
right?
me happy.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's exactly.
And they're on all the time.
Absolutely.
So when I come home and it's dark or whatever, guess what? I'm like, hey, this is awesome. So but it's funny. So I said, well, you know, I can take all that stuff down and we can take the presents back. Well, then suddenly it wasn't as random.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
It was perfect.
Well, I mean,
they were just saying it was perfect. They were loving it.
Yeah.
They were loving it. Best thing they'd ever seen in their life. Yeah. Oh yeah. When you start threatening that yeah, it's the tone changes.
But that's an example of I do it for me, and it makes me. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So.
And that's something. Hello, we just talked about this. Okay, like self. There's nothing. Okay, don't. It's not selfish to have a little bit of self. If those lights, when you pull in or you're inside and you look outside or whatever, if they bring you joy, that's good. That's what we should do. And there's nothing wrong. We just talked about this with Melissa Jeremiah from Hoosier Uplands. Like, there's nothing. I mean, we talked about we use the example of like the airplane, putting your mask on first before you help others. But you do have to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Doing some self-care, doing some self. If that makes you happy, if that makes you smile, right?
It does.
And you know, and I have things like that too that that people might. What was she thinking?
Yeah.
You know,
well,
but that's something.
It brought me joy to think. You know, there's teenagers sitting at school at lunch going,
yeah.
Well, how long you had those red and green lights up?
But you should have said, I'm concerned that as teenagers, this was the only topic you had to talk about. Right. This was your topic of conversation.
Shouldn't you have been talking about school?
Cool. Is there not anything else that would have come to your mind?
On.
Yeah, these Christmas lights. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you can be the topic, but I do want to say, okay, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. But something that really made me happy, and it made me happy just because I was happy for you and for Walmart. But when I walked in every time I go to Walmart, I have to go around the Christmas decoration. Don't have to buy, just walk. Yeah. Just those beautiful trees. I had to it just completely, so I've started since you put them out. Just you have to make that lap. Okay, I think the ladies know she's coming around.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then how awesome. I mean, it's been hit. I mean, there's been so much. The trees. I mean, everything is like so almost gone.
Yes, and that's a good thing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I'm excited about that
You
because first of all, things coming in on rollback and things like that. But that means that someone's out there enjoying that stuff. And we had some really cool stuff. And, I will say that in addition to that, I'm very proud of the associates because we decorated the associate space. We decorated my space back in HR, the art area. And so what the associates decided to do was those decorations, they are going to donate to a family. And they're going to surprise a family and take the Christmas tree, table decorations, everything. I mean, full ornaments and stuff. And I'm very proud of the folks that work at the Salem Walmart. They're just a great group of people.
I did not know
and this was associates' idea. This is not Mike, me, any management person having this idea. This was their idea, and they're going to start taking that stuff down today. And this evening, and I know it's 3 days before Christmas, but they're gonna go over and surprise a family that and decorate the tree, and they've also got presents and stuff to go underneath the tree. So I'm very proud of that.
You should be. Wow, I didn't know that. That's above and beyond. Yeah.
So,
well, that's what I was so excited about when you see, like, because you had an abundance of so much, you really did, and then when you see it, 3 days before, where it's like, really been hit hard, which is I love.
Yes.
Because that means that people are enjoying it and people are getting that, and I think that's I mean I'm not talking. You and I are not talking money. We're not talking about that. No. We're talking about the joy and what it means, to people and for that. And when you see little ones, you see families coming around and looking at that tree, just the joy and the giddiness, that childness, it's so.
Oh yeah, and
magical.
Scott and Lindsay and the team out there have done an amazing job, and those trees that were decorated and put up, a lot of those went to people who it has been their first tree and things like that, and things that could, and you said it, bringing joy to people is
it's magical.
Yeah, it's
and that's the magical of Christmas, you know. So I love it.
I'm very lucky, and I get to work with great people, but we have a great community that we I mean, and we had a couple of things going on, but I've had a lot of folks that I know that have come in and they've bought Christmas decorations for other people to bring them joy. Mm-hmm. So that's just amazing.
Absolutely. Well, and then you and I have not spoke since Shop with a Cop Saturday. No, oh my goodness, was that not awesome? Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
Yes.
That was, and the energy, the atmosphere, wasn't that really? I mean,
I just and I was I was talking to Eric, and one thing that I think that we should be proud of as a community is that even if you look at the numbers prior to the pandemic and through the pandemic and counting this year, that they've been able to do more for each person and more people every single year, thanks to the community and things like that. Yeah. That's unheard of this day and age, and another reason that this is a great community and we have wonderful people. And it's just seeing that time and the kiddos and just seeing that interaction and those relationships that they're building with the community in a positive way.
Right. And it was cute watching, when you're just watching and you see, an officer and there's a little one and the officers, saying, which color do you want? And they're picking out, or, trying on shoes and picking out, like, and you had Spider-Man shoes that were way cool, Mickey Mouse shoes that were, and everybody just lighting up at these,
and the police officer with the little girl and her saying, and he's saying, well, how about these pink ones and shit? Well, he's saying, how about these pink ones? She's like, I don't want pink. Yeah. It's just so cute, because you're trying to think, and then those kiddos wanting to do for other people instead of for themselves. I mean, it's just, it was a great day. Got my picture with Santa.
I know. Santa was on the scene. So, Santa was wonderful. Yeah, Santa and Mrs. Cole were actually having an anniversary that day, so that was pretty cool. So that's neat. Well, we talked about it on Monday, I believe. Yeah, we did. Laura and I did, but I hadn't talked with you about it, so that was really good.
It was great.
Very good. All right, let's go over. Of course, let's go over our hours of shopping because Friday is Christmas Eve and Saturday's Christmas. So kind of tell us, what are the hours of
we are closing at 6 p.m. And we love our customers but our associates, we want to get them home to their loved ones, so we are closing at 6 p.m. and so we ask that our customers get their final selections, so we can get them out of there as close to 6:30 as possible. But we'll close then, and then we'll reopen at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, the 26th. We are closed for Christmas Day for our associates to be with their families, and but that's what we're looking at. The online grocery, I would say. They're going to stop the deliveries. I'm sorry, that's coming to us. Sorry. But they're going to stop the online orders. I think 2 p.m. on Christmas Eve is the latest that you could pick stuff up. But of course, you can still come into the store for the last minute.
Right.
So I would say that those Christmas Eve orders will probably fill up pretty quickly. But again, we're so thankful to be in this community. We're very proud, And I always am thankful, around the holidays, but every day, the Salem Walmart's got great associates. We've got great customers, and it's just amazing. So very, and I think this year is going to be a good Christmas. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love when you come in the store on the grocery side and all those cookies.
Oh
My goodness, that bakery is just putting it out. I mean, they are just like they're hitting it hard.
Yeah. Oh, they are. They are. And the peppermint bark that.
Oh.
I mean, it's
totally.
Just like,
yes.
I mean,
I'm
like,
well aware.
What?
Well aware.
Yeah.
Well, I had gotten around Thanksgiving, I got these pumpkin squares. Remember, I kept they'll be forever in my heart.
Yes.
And then I thought you couldn't get any better, but they're hitting it out of the ballpark.
So, we have the.
And can I ask? Go ahead. I got another question.
Well, the pumpkin rolls. Sorry.
Pumpkin rolls.
Sorry,
yes.
But we have the chocolate rolls
Yes.
like that. Someone was telling me, well, those folks up in the bakery, they just they kill me. But so you can take those, slice those up, put it in a bowl, put the peppermint ice cream on it, chocolate sauce, and then crumble up the peppermint bark on top. You've got an almost homemade dessert that's easy to do, and you talk about good.
Oh, that's I never thought about that with the chocolate one. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go. Okay, for those that are going a little healthier, the cantaloupe. I don't know where it's coming from, but I don't know, and because usually like California or Florida or somewhere warm.
Yeah.
But this cantaloupe,
we're getting some from Arizona and New Mexico.
Are you serious? Yeah. It is absolutely.
And I'm cantaloupe over watermelon.
Yeah.
So Oh, absolutely.
I've been eating the cantaloupe for whatever reason. Like I always try to increase like fruits and fluids and stuff this time of year. Trying to keep ourselves making sure we're vertical.
Yes.
Not horizontal.
Yes. Right.
We say got to stay vertical.
Yes.
Although if I don't have my VA.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's an old commercial.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've been trying to get more fruits, and that cantaloupe, we've been hitting it hard.
And well, that's the thing. It's just like for a holiday get together, it doesn't all have to be bad.
No,
do the
fruit trays.
And
Vegetables,
do
fruit trays.
Do all that stuff. Yeah. So that's good. But I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that.
Well, I had a daughter she's doing the fruit and vegetable tray, so she said, "Can I go ahead and just bring them over?" I said, "That'd be dangerous."
Well,
they might not be here.
You can.
Technically. But I can't say that they will make it.
I thought cantaloupe was on this. Well, funny story.
Yeah, I know.
They had a recall.
Imagine that. That's exactly right. Saved us all.
Yes.
I did. No, I just wanted to say that too, because we talk a lot of sweets, and we do love our sweets.
Oh, yes.
And this is a fun time of the year to have, and there's things that you necessarily are having that you won't necessarily get throughout the whole year.
Like my eggnog. How I'm an eggnog
me
fan.
Me too on eggnog. I know. I've had that. Yeah, I've had a lot of eggnog, and then like the
And I'm a naturalist. I'm not a pumpkin eggnog fan. I'm not a peppermint eggnog fan. Boiled custard's okay, but just straight up eggnog.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you gotta
full throttle. Yeah. I'm with you. Eggnog.
You
but I do it different. Remember, I heat mine up.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is good too.
It is.
I'll get that's still you're still an eggnog naturalist.
Oh, I think so.
Yes,
I do believe it. Believe it.
So.
Well, and also, real quick, I do want to say that if anyone is having, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, don't forget that your deli and your bakery have got like all kinds of like the chicken, the wings, and all that.
Absolutely.
That have you covered, which are really good.
We'll have you covered for Christmas Eve. There's a lot of people that like to do like game night Christmas Eve and stuff like that. So we have wings, and we have deli meat and cheese trays, and we have vegetable trays and fruit trays and all that kind of stuff. So and the ranch wings, you know how I feel about the ranch wings.
Which I didn't. You're the one that taught me about those, and those things are just we can get stamp of approval.
Yeah,
we're gonna have our photo.
Yeah, we should.
Thumbs up. Or arrows pointing.
Then we have a picture of you over there with the cakes.
That's exactly.
Me with the cheesecakes. And
there we go.
So I mean,
absolutely.
And all of it. We
need stickers of ourselves. We need stickers to show. We tested and approved. Tested and approved. And remember the one that I got, the was it Patti LaBelle cake?
Yes.
And it said guaranteed to make you happy or
Yeah.
something. So I think it was 2 years ago I bought that because I was like, guarantee it's going to make me happy. And I want to say she did not let me down. I was very much happy.
Patti LaBelle knows what she's doing.
Yeah, it was really good.
True. And speaking of food, we are gonna feed our associates today some good food, so that's always good to enjoy the day, things like that. But there's so many options over there in the bakery and deli and everything that you can. It's almost homemade. You know, you can let us do half the work, and then makes it easier. And another reason to do that is more time with your family and more your loved ones, whoever you're choosing to spend time with. And that's a good thing. That's
Absolutely.
a win. Yeah. That's a win.
Yeah. And you know, and there's corners to cut, you know, I mean, and I remember in home ec, you know, you have so many people working, you know, and it takes most families, it takes both working. So there's nothing wrong with cutting a little bit of corners there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Teenagers are
well, they are, and they eat. Yeah, they eat. Yeah, they eat a lot. And if you have so much like food that you're concentrating on, a lot of times you don't have the time for the desserts. And the desserts are so, and of course, as you walk in, you have those Reese's or trees with the peanut butter. It's just like.
Yes. Oh, and we talk about that.
Yeah.
We talk about that, but you got to get the shapes. You got to get the shapes. The ratio of peanut butter to chocolate, whether it's white chocolate or regular or dark, it's spot on.
Absolutely.
It's spot on.
And I bought them like 3 times because they've been eaten. I'm gonna have these for Christmas. And then
so I bought some for stockings, right?
Yes.
Didn't make it.
No,
So I bought replacement stocking Reese cups. Didn't even make it home.
Yeah.
Did not even make it home. You know, the wrappers are all in the wastebasket back in HR. Yeah. And I did finally get some, and I had to hide them from myself. Now here's the thing, though. In all of my things, I'm like, I'm gonna have to buy some more because I forgot where I hid those. Oh. But it'll be a good present when I find them.
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That was funny. We had a conversation. Actually last night the girls were like, how much stuff have you put up that you can't remember where you put it, Mom? You know, the girls were asking me, and I was like, and then I get worried. I'm thinking, I don't think there's anything. I think I'm good. And then I'm thinking, do you know something I don't know?
Yeah. Well, I've had that. We've had that same conversation because I had, someone very near to me said, well, so I get my Christmas stuff, and then when do I get this Christmas stuff that you forgot where you put it?
That'll be a little January special.
Yes.
Well, Brad, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. I love your family, and I know Jeannie and everybody will just be putting on the Ritz, and I can't even imagine the smell in the kitchen.
Yeah, she's I've got great family members.
Yes,
I've got great friends. You guys are friends and family to me, and so I hope you guys have a great Christmas. And I saw a couple of those girls yesterday, and I was just like, "Hey, am I going to get to see you before Christmas?" No, well, Merry Christmas. Just like and it through no matter what, it's like pause and appreciate those people and tell the people that you love that you love them.
Absolutely,
that's important.
Very good. Well, how apropos for us to have "It's a Wonderful Life" today for us. Yes, absolutely. Love that, and it is a wonderful life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We'll never get out of this area. We're George Bailey's completely, but we love it.
And anybody out there, do Becky and I a favor, so ring a bell so we can get our wings today.
Absolutely, or send us a good clearance, right? Keep us in track.
My clearance would need a lot of money.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
Absolutely. Let's take our sponsors, Bradley.
All right. We've got Walmart, Meadowview Healthcare, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Upland, Celebrity Home Loans, Skyline Suites, Kentucky and Cat and Core Recycling, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, and Fox Curly Wealth Management.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Stop in and see Dennis and his staff. They're ready to work with you today. As a star, you expect the best, and that's all Celebrity Home Loans has to offer. Nothing off the rack. We're talking fine living, designer fashion home loans around here. Come by today and see Dennis or Autumn at 18 Public Square, Suite A, or call for an appointment. 812-883-0670. Remember, at Celebrity Home Loans, you're the star.
The Lutheran Mission Federation and St. John Lutheran Church in Seymour, Indiana, invite you to pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
WSOM is gearing up to start our Christmas music beginning at midnight on Thanksgiving, all the way through Christmas Eve. You'll hear your Christmas favorites for the next 6 weeks on WSOM. Let us be your soundtrack to the holidays.
There are many reasons to choose Skyline Suites Assisted Living. The number one reason, it feels like home. At Skyline Suites, we offer a fresh approach with compassionate care, which allows you as much independence or assistance as you want. When you begin to think about assisted living, there are many questions like,